Political fallout from the Bergdahl prisoner exchange as well as the VA scandal. Let's bring in Susan Ferricchio, chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. To Bergdahl first, Susan, no one is saying that it's a bad thing that this U.S. soldier is free. It's the terms of, that got him his freedom, the circumstances around it that have roiled so many people. And you say the White House explanations are not really helping the situation.
Well, they've evolved. They've started with, we don't leave soldiers behind. They evolved into where we are today, where if we told Congress, it would have leaked. Now, that, of course, just stirred up a hornet's nest in Congress because they've been told all kinds of classified information before, including the planned takedown of Osama bin Laden. So that's not selling well at all. It looks like the White House is reaching. They're reaching for explanations because this thing has been a PR disaster for them. However, I think the biggest problem for the White House is the specter of these 5 bad actors, these Taliban members who've been released, some of them considered the most dangerous within the Taliban, for the next 2 years during President Obama's administration, becoming a threat. There'll be a threat to our forces, there'll be a threat to our allies overseas, and there'll be a threat to U.S. security. That's going to hang over the administration, and I believe that is the overwhelming concern among lawmakers, both Democrat and Republican.
And the White House, which seems stung by the blowback over the Bergdahl release and the circumstances that brought it about, they're saying, let's not make this political. Let's be bipartisan about this. Well, if they wanted to be bipartisan, why is it that the only person they notified in advance apparently was Harry Reid, the Democratic Majority Leader in the Senate?
It just was a bungled rollout. The whole thing from start to finish looks like nobody really thought this thing through. You're right. Harry Reid has insisted that he was made aware of this the day before it happened. Nobody in the House was. What we learned this past week, John, was that there were many meetings to discuss this over the past 2 years with members of Congress, and they always expressed very significant concern and opposition to trading these 5 Taliban members or releasing them under any circumstances. And what we saw was the White House essentially saying, okay, we hear your concerns, but we're going to do this anyway, and we're going to find various excuses for why we can do it without your consultation. It's just blown up in Congress, and the reason it won't go away probably has less to do with the circumstances of the soldiers' disappearance than the threat of these 5 Taliban members and the risk it may have set upon the United States.
So changing gears slightly, you are there on Capitol Hill, where it's pretty rare these days to get bipartisan agreement on anything. Do they have bipartisan agreement on this bill to reform the VA?
They have some bipartisan agreement. It sets a precedent by allowing VA members to have the choice of some forms of private care through Medicare, Department of Defense, Indian health care centers, and other federally approved facilities. That's brand new. It's really something Republicans have sought. It also speeds up the process for getting rid of incompetent senior management. It's really a compromise between the right and the left. Here's where we have the problem, John, and it's a little bit in the weeds, but I think it's important for viewers to hear it. In the Senate, a lot of popular legislation, popular for both Republicans and Democrats, has stalled because the Democrats are not allowing Republicans to amend and debate legislation fully on the House floor. That is probably the one thing that may hold up this legislation, if at all. Otherwise, I think the crisis situation, the emergency of it all, is going to have lawmakers really eager to get this over the finish line.
Yeah, again, a rare example of bipartisan cooperation these days. Susan Ferricchio from the Washington Examiner. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you.